Hello and welcome back. This is Sherry with Heart and Soulful in the studio today with a very new type of video for me. I was asked on my Facebook page after the last altered book flip through that I did if I would do a demonstration of how I paint my altered book covers. I pretty much threw everything but the kitchen sink at this one because I wanted to show basically every technique that I've tried. All in one project. So I'm going to go over really quickly the supplies that I ended up using in this project so that if you want to gather some things together, you don't have to use everything that I did, obviously. You will have your own style and your own things that you want to use, but I'm just going to show you kind of what I used to create this, and then we'll get started. So, and I had to reinforce the spine, so I primed it then with some just white gesso. Which I end up using here and there in the project. And then for collage papers, I ended up only using some scraps of book page that I had painted. I had just been using it to clean off a brayer, and it was in my box, so I used some of that. I did use the little bird, came from this little bit of Tim Holtz tissue paper. And then during the process of this video, I'm working with a gel plate to my side, using it as my paint palette. And so kind of as I'm going along, I ended up doing some papers for the inside of my book. And I'm going to do a separate demo on that because that was a lot of fun. So I ended up, actually stenciling on it and using some of that. And then I have collage that I made from some international currency, and I used some of those for the color. So that was what I used to decoupage. Then I also did some stenciling, and for stencils, I used this one, don't even know the name of this, some Tim Holtz, just background stencils, and this little one from Deco Art Americana. I think this is just a brand that Michaels carries, either that or Walmart. I didn't have a ton of stencils, so some kind of textural ones you want for the background. And then let's see, this is a Sean Petit one. I'll add this to the description below. This one I used some light modeling paste in a spatula, and I demonstrate that in there, but this is the flower that I used, and then I used this little branch under my bird. And for this, I mixed up some, you want a little tray of some kind in a spatula, and then I just used a Liquitex professional light modeling paste for the paste, and then I colorized it with some of the paints, and I'll go over the colors I used. I also added this Martha Stewart fine glitter so that I would get a little sparkle in that, and then to that I also added the paint color that I used was the raw umber, and I was just using this Deco Art Christmas red, and then some quinacridone magenta mixed together, and then a little spritz of vintage photo spray stain to get that deep color. So that was that flower. And then as far as other paints that I used, those two, I used some raw sienna, I used some light olive green, and I used some bright aqua green for my paints, and these are all just Liquitex acrylics. And then I just grabbed some fall colors of just some cheap acrylic paint. So kind of whatever colors fit with your kind of design that you're going to do. And so that was my paint. And then I also used matte medium to stick down my collage papers. And then for paint texture, other than stencils, I use an old credit card, some corrugated cardboard, maybe a little cork and a little bottle cap. If you have any kind of sponge circle things, I like circles, so that works. I did use a little comb, but if you don't have a comb, you can use a plastic fork, something like that. Just anything to create some kind of texture, because I like to kind of feel some texture on it. And then I also used kind of some stamps, excuse me. I used some stamps. I used archival ink and black soot, and I just, grabbed a couple that I thought would look good with my thing. This little number one I used in this this stamp set is Etc. from Tim Holtz's collection. So I'll put a link to that one. Those are the stamps that I used. And then I also used my little sentiment. It says use your wings. I used that from this Tiny Text collection. I'll put a link to that below also. And then I had mentioned I used vintage photo spray. I used a little bit just because I had never tried it. Some transparent raw umber, Liquitex ink, acrylic ink. You'll need a little brayer maybe. And then what else? A spritzer bottle I used, some brushes. I like this kind of little fan brush for splatters. That works. And then a white charcoal pencil, maybe you might want that. And this is a Stabilo all pencil or a charcoal pencil and a water pen. So I think that might be, oh, and for the edges, the dark edges, I used just a soft pastel and black. So I think that's all the supplies. Let's get started. So this book has been repaired. On the outside, I used the Tyvek paper, this one, and just cut a strip and glued it down, and then primered that with some gesso, and that's already dry. I think what I need to do first is protect the inside of my book. So, okay, so to protect my book, I'm going to start, I think I need to have it be open, but I don't want my pages to get painted. So I think I'm going to kind of do that. And that. With some blue tape, painter's tape, just to kind of... Okay, so I know it looks kind of funny, but I want to protect my pages as much as I can. And then, just for good measure, I may even do this, because I know I'm going to get messy. Okay, so I've protected everything. I'm working on a silicone mat. I grab my light olive green, quinacridone magenta, raw umber maybe. This is raw cyan, and bright aqua green. So I'm going to use those. I may grab some yellows and oranges or whites out of my other paints. But so I'm going to start, maybe because these have some browns and things, maybe I'll add some of those just so it makes sense, and then I'll go for some contrast. So I'm going to just put a little paint there, maybe too much. And then I'm going to start with, you know, this. And I'm just going to be messy about it. And that's a horrid color. That looks awful. But it's just background, so it's going to be fine. And I just slap it on there. You can use a credit card like I did, or you could use a brayer and brayer it on. And this is just going to look kind of grungy. But let's let that dry for a second. I want to kind of let these dry in between so that it just doesn't get horribly muddy. Because like I said, I'm not an artist in what, you know, paint colors to mix with each other and all that kind of stuff. But I do know that if I do them, if I put them all on there wet, that they are just going to end up blending in with each other and might just be that kind of color. So let's see if I just do with my brayer a little bit and just get some on here or there. And you want to remember that these edges inside here are white. So at some point, I don't really have to worry too much about it right this second. I may cover that up. But you just want to be aware that your book is open, and at some point you need to go in there and put some paint or decoupage papers or something in that little crease. So you don't want to neglect that. So I've got 2 colors on there. I'm going to let that, I think this would look really pretty over that. So let's do some of that. And I like the earthiness of this one actually. So I may not go with a lot of those other bright colors. We'll see how it works out here. So I'm going to take maybe something else, maybe one of these combs, and just swipe it around. And that gives another nice texture. Oh, I like that. That's the thing, you never know, you know, at least me, because I'm so inexperienced with art like this, that you know, if you've done a lot of it, you kind of know what looks good together. For me, it's like always a mystery surprise. But I like, maybe it's because it's fall. I kind of like that. So that's with one other little layer. And again, I want to dry in between. Okay, now maybe a little of that, who knows? We're just gonna go for it. I don't know. Guess you don't know until you try, right? Okay, so let's see, maybe this, I'm gonna do, I need a little palette of some kind. What do I have? This will be good. I'll just use this. I could do it right on my mat, but I'll put paint on this off to the side. It's probably too much, but let's see. What will I put it on my... Because I think I want to get these out of my way. I want to try doing a texture. So let's see. You know, it would be good. I know what I need to get out is my jelly plate, because then I could be using it as a palette. I thought I could do some lines, something subtle with this green. So I'm just using a little piece of cardboard, but that's not working out very well either. Let's see. Get some of that off. There we go. That worked better. I had too much on there. So I'm just going to do some little lines. Now, there's no rhyme or reason. I mean, this honestly is just have some fun. So I'll probably speed this up. Okay, so as you can see, I got my jelly plate out that kind of sticks okay to this mat. We'll see how that works, but just use it as a palette. And then I can maybe even use it to print on here too. So that might be kind of fun, but that helps. And then I can pull prints off of this too if I want, and get that off. Now it's not totally dry, but it's enough. So I need to get some paint in here maybe, because I really don't want that to be white. So I had this in water, but it still has a little bit of paint on it. So I'm going to do that just to start something there. To get rid of the white. Okay, now I could go with more color on here, do something just really wacky, you know, and throw purple or quinacridone magenta in there, or something unexpected, you know, totally different. But I think I'm not going to do that yet because I kind of like how that looks. And I could bring color back in later. So I think what I'm going to do right now is maybe do some decoupage thing on there before I do maybe a raised layer of paint or something like that. So this is colorful. That's kind of nice, just ones that kind of blend in. Okay, so I think I'm going to take some of this one. Now to do this would be easier. I don't, my area is not big enough. Is a water pen is always good to tear tissue, just so I don't, it makes it a little easier. I don't care if these are torn nice. Okay, do I have any water in my pen here? That might look good. And then I kind of like the green one. Somewhere, maybe there. Okay, that might look good. So I'm going to use a little bit of matte medium. Like how that's going so far. I'm kind of liking the colors. It's something I haven't done before, and I live in a very woodsy area and it's fall, so this might be kind of a nice woodland kind of journal. I don't know, we'll see. So let's see, I think I want to do maybe some stenciling, and I don't really have any woodsy stencils. I'm gonna have to look and see what I have. Okay, so I've pulled together some stencils because I think that's kind of the next layer that I want to do. And I like ones that are, you know, just maybe a pattern to do a little bit of something on. That might be kind of nice. These are just some, maybe not that one. Maybe just some textures. I might try some florals that are different. I got this, I kind of like this flower with these colors. That one's from Jean Petit, this one. Maybe leaves. I don't know. So let's see. I love this one. I've used little parts of just little bits. So maybe I do some of that. I'm going to need different paint colors, I think, for these, though. So I want to do some sort of deep colors and some light colors. So I'm going to get some different paint. Grabbed some other accent colors. We'll see. And I'll use my plate here again. Just to kind of mix them on, I think. So let's see, maybe a texture first. I feel kind of unprepared for this, so I'm just grabbing some makeup sponges to use. And a little gold color. And we'll just see how that looks by itself first. Yeah, just a little texture. This one's very similar, just a little smaller, so maybe I add another color to that. That's better. Way too much paint on my, there you go. Okay, a little of that here and there. There's really no rhyme or reason, honestly. You just kind of put something down, and if you don't like it, like these blobs, I can cover up later with something else. So that's that one. And then what else do I have here? Maybe some circles. But I think I want these to be like a little more red. Now we have, it's fall, and I'm in the woods, and there's a plant outside a window that I just love. I want to clip some branches and bring them in the house because they are like these really beautiful red orange berries that I think the bears like. I don't know why they planted that plant there, but I've never really seen, I mean, we have bears, but I've never really seen any that close to the house. So they kind of hang out a little further out. Now I want that to be a little darker. This might ruin it, but now see what I mean about I don't know how to mix colors, because it's not, it's kind of getting pinky. Maybe I need more red. Or a darker color. Or this magenta color. I love this color. I love this color, but it's probably totally wrong for this thing. I'll end up with a huge amount of paint over here. I don't know, it's kind of pretty. So we'll see. I'm just thinking some little circles. Oh yeah. I mean, if you don't really have a plan, how can you mess it up, right? How could it be wrong if you didn't really have a plan to begin with? So I kind of like doing these covers, and then however it feels to me is kind of leads me to do what goes on the inside. There, that's kind of pretty too. Okay, got rid of that one. So let's see, what else do I want to stencil on here? Let's see. I think I want to add another color. Maybe make it darker again and do these little dots. So if I add some darker. I need to pull this off. It's getting too much paint on it. So maybe here. Oh, that looks nice. Make this purposeful here. Maybe make some lines in it. I guess you might like to see what I'm doing there, huh? So I'm just making some little imprinted lines, which then I can maybe transfer here. I didn't really show up, but anyway, I'm going to pull this off of my palette just to get some of this paint cleaned up. Oh, and see how pretty that is? I could actually use that in decoupage. It's funny that I'm actually doing this because the other night I was thinking, you know, next time I do a book cover, I need to be making papers using those same colors. So having this jelly play out is perfect, because that way, when I want to try to make the inside of my book cohesive to the cover, I have made some papers using those colors. So I need to do more of those while I'm at this. I should put some turquoise down on something. Maybe I'll do that real quick. Get some more paint. Another paper started with the rest of this pool. Get this over here where you can see it. Because I have, if you've never jelly plated, see I still have paint there. That's going to be actually really pretty. So if I put a thin layer of another color here, I probably don't have quite enough, but that thin layer spread out over this and then pull that up. I think that could be really pretty. Oh, look, a woodland. I should save that for my inside. Oh yeah, see how that comes out? So I have coordinating papers, 3 coordinating papers now for the inside of my book. So I need to remember that. Okay, I'm gonna let this, see how, if this is dry enough for me. Okay, I like this, I'm liking it. I do need to get some more paint here and here. So let's see if I can just get enough of this off of my sponge. I don't want to go right to it with a sponge because it's too much paint, I think. And I don't want it that bright. I just want to dirty that up. I may end up getting it covered up with something, I don't know. But I just don't want it to stand out that much. There, so I just dirtied that up a little bit. Okay, so that's kind of where I'm at so far. Liking that. So now if you're feeling like all these stencils that I've been doing are a little dark, which they are, then how you can fix that, I've learned this from Sean Petit, is it's pushing backgrounds back and bringing focal points forward, pushing backgrounds back. You know, you kind of play that dance. If I wanted this bird to stand out, I probably should have waited and saved him as a focal point because he's kind of cute. I could maybe salvage that if I don't go over him too much. So I'm going to show you how. I don't know that I can do it like she does, but we're going to try. So I'm going to just put some gesso on this jelly plate. And where's my spray bottle? Somewhere here. Oh, if you could see my desk. Okay, I'm going to spray a little water just to thin it out a tiny bit. And actually, I should clean that brush since it had red on it. And I'm just going to kind of take a little bit of that. And 2 things, she would do this later on, I think, is kind of go around that bird to make him stand out a little bit more. Okay, now that I have that dry, I want to add another layer. So I think for this layer, I'm going to do some more stenciling again later, but I think I want to do a layer. Maybe I'll actually use some of this book page. So I'm going to kind of throw everything in the kitchen sink at this one cover. You may not want to do as many layers as I'm going to do. It may be too much, but I just kind of want to, in this one video, give you lots of ideas. And then from there, you can, you know, use what you want. But I think I'm going to tear, this was the piece I just pulled from my jelly print. And I think I want to use a bit of it. And I'm going to do a couple things to it. First, I'm saving all those scraps in my scrap thing. I think I want to see that it's book page. This might be better if I use a tear ruler. This is a little tear ruler. It comes in a set of 3 from We Are Memory Keepers. I'll put a link to the down below for that, because I use this one the most, but I can use that scrap too. I use that one tear the most. In fact, maybe I'll do this one just to see what it looks like. I did it, practiced with all of them when I first got it, but they're just great for kind of tearing, but with purpose, I guess. So I think I'm going to put this here, but first I want to show you that you can do some like negative pattern. Actually, I'll use this one. You can use a regular hole punch, or this is a slot punch. So I'm going to just go along the edge and make a little pattern. Just like that. And then you can use that. You can use just, you know, a regular hole punch. This is just a way, if you don't have stencils, you can kind of make up your own thing doing that. And then maybe I'll even do a big circle here. And then you could actually use these pieces too. So this is kind of how I did the heart that I showed. Oh, and actually while I have that out, maybe I cut out a piece of this. This is, when I had the currency, I also had a bunch of coins. And I've just done a little background paper with that. This one's printed on vellum, but let's see. It doesn't even have to be a whole circle. So I could go in and I can glue that down. And then maybe I want to now I'm very slow at this, but I'm thinking maybe I want to take a piece of this. I'm going to move my book for a second because I think I want to stencil on this piece first and then put it on my book. Just because. So what color do I want to use? I think I want to use this. A little tiny bit of that. And I should use a clean sponge. Or if I use the dirty one, there's maybe a little paint on that still. And then I think I want to do like an arrow, just kind of big, but then I can just use what part I want. That. Oh, I should leave, that's kind of, it says leafy rivers. I think I need that somewhere because we have lots of creeks and rivers by us. Maybe on my spine. That's kind of cool. Okay, I think I'm just going to stick some things down. Okay, it's sort of dry. So I think I want to, while I was drying that, I was thinking about those berries. And I think this stencil had like a branch. I'm thinking I could make a branch. Maybe that one. Looks like pine cones on there. Okay, a branch for my bird. And then I can add some berries. So I want this raw umber. Oh, a little too much probably. Some raw umber. Maybe I use this. Oh yeah, very good. And then I think I want to, maybe I should do some dots over there. I don't want to waste my paint. And then you could also take another color, like if those look too dark, just kind of highlight them a little bit. Okay, and then I want to do some berries. So I think I'm going to take, I could even do some leaves out of this, some fall leaves, but I think I'm just going to take, I don't know how small. I need a hole punch without the little capture thingy. But I think I got some berries. Let's see, tweezers. Some little book page berries. Okay, where do I want my berries? Hi, okay, I'm back with very dirty hands. I have been playing. So what happened, I was gluing the berries down and my battery decided it was no longer charged. So while I charged my battery, I did a little playing around. I've decided I think I might want to put a clock face for my closure and some gears on here somewhere. And then I had taken off this little vellum coin that wasn't sticking. Vellum does not apparently like to stick with the matte medium. So I think I'm going to maybe put a couple of clock faces there. Those will go on later, but I kind of wanted to lay them out for my next step so I can see where I want to place something. So what I decided to do, I've mixed this off camera just because I was playing around and I'm not sure how it's going to work out, but we're going to go for it anyway. So one thing you can use with your stencil instead of just paint is to use some light modeling paste. You could use Crackle or something like that too, but I'm going to use this. So I've done this before where I've mixed it with paint and then some glitter. You can't really see the glitter too much, but it's subtle, but it's there. So to do this, I mixed up some Liquitex light modeling paste, and then I used a little bit of the raw umber and the red paint, acrylic paint that I was using, and then the quinacridone magenta, just to get it that kind of deep purpley color. And the modeling paste is white, so you kind of have to go really dark, and that's why I ended up using the magenta, just because it's a better quality paint, so it has more pigment in it, and the raw umber too. So I'm thinking that this will be okay. So I also added a little bit just because I really wanted it. It was getting kind of dry because I added a lot of glitter, and I used just something I had was this crystal fine glitter from Martha Stewart, just something I had. So I added quite a bit to that just so it'll sparkle after it's dry. And then I needed to kind of thin it out again because the glitter made it really dry. So I just spritzed it a little bit with this Vintage Photo stain. So we're going to go for this and see how it works out, but I've just mixed it up on this little palette, and I wanted to do this kind of little flower here somewhere. So I'm thinking, I don't even know where. but I wanted to do it. So I'm thinking I might even just have like little part of the flower. So I think I'll do a little bit on the spine here. And you just take your palette knife and just smoosh it in your stencil. And you can hear the grittiness of the paste and the glitter. And then, let's see if I clean. You need more space in here, I'm telling you. Okay, I need to maybe get it off the edge. There. And then maybe a partial one up here maybe. Those are pretty dark, I don't know. If you come back tomorrow and they've been sanded off, that could happen. But I kind of like it, I don't know. So let's see, I need more though, I think. More is better, less is more. Maybe one down here, more of a full one somewhere. Or a partial one here, that would be pretty. Okay, let's try that. Fortunately, I'm learning how to edit a little better, so I can fast forward through these slow parts. I think that's enough. I hate to waste all this paste. Maybe I need to find another piece of paper or something, and then I'll have an embellishment for inside my book. So I'm going to set this aside for a minute. I'm going to go clean these and I will be back. So I'm back with clean hands, and today is actually day 2. I left off with stenciling with my light modeling paste, the flowers. So I decided to let them dry overnight. I was losing daylight anyway. So we're back at it today. I did go out this morning and I had made reference to some little berries out a window that is kind of what inspired this. And so I actually went out and picked a little bit to show you, because I thought, oh, everybody's going to think they're just those little pepper berries, and they're not. I don't know what they are. They're kind of like a rose bush, very thorny, and looks like the deer have been eating them, but I didn't see any bear evidence. Some ash left over from all the fires we've had nearby. So anyway, I just think that's so pretty. So that was my inspiration for my little branch with the berries on it. So I'm going to move forward with some more layers today. Now I'm kind of, like I said, throwing everything at this because I just want to show you a lot of techniques. I don't know if normally I would put so much into one cover, but maybe first I'll go ahead and glue those on. I had laid out where I took off that little coin that didn't work. And so I've punched out these little clock faces. I've mentioned, I used these in my last project. I just created a digital. I don't have it listed yet because I want to add some more things to it. But these clock faces at some point are going to be available on there. They're in several sizes, and I think there's like 5 different designs. One thing that I like to do in my artwork is make reference to something that's personal to me. And the number 828 has a special meaning. So I do it a lot in my jewelry and my watch face necklaces and things, but I went ahead, I didn't have hands to set the time to, which is what I usually do, but I just punched out with a little teeny tiny punch. I don't know if you can even see that. I punched out a little at the 8 and at the 28. And that's just for kind of my little secret reference that I like to do. So I think I'm going to go ahead and glue these down just so that they'll get grungy for my next steps. So I'm going to use a little bit of my matte medium, get my brush dry here. Okay, the next thing that I want to do is I want to do some stamping. That's something else you can do. I've picked out a couple little stamps. Now, the important thing stamping is I'm going to be introducing liquid later on. And I like to do the stamping first because I want it to be a layer behind my grunginess. And so I need to make sure and use archival ink and not something that is like a distress ink that if you get it wet, it's going to disappear. So you want to make sure you use permanent ink of some kind. And so I just grabbed the archival ink. And so I'm going to just get a couple of stamps here. You know, there's so many different kind of stamps. I'll show you real quick some other options. I'm going to use this little, just kind of a postage stamp. And then this is just kind of a little compassy kind of thing. I think I might do a sentiment stamp. So I'm going to take some black ink and just stamp here and there. And I like to, you know, just kind of do them random, not even maybe the whole thing. So let's see, maybe there. I think I want to do a couple more painterly things. I didn't use any of these caps yet, and I think I want to do some circles. I'm not sure what color I want to do them in. Just trying to show you lots of different things that you can, just making marks and designs and that kind of thing. So we'll get rid of that. Maybe smooth that out for later. Okay, so now I want to make sure this is all dry and do some grungy things. So you can use distress inks and oxide sprays, all that kind of stuff. So I may use a couple different things, but one thing I wanted to try is some Liquitex acrylic inks. I've never used these before, and so I wanted to try it out. This one is transparent raw umber. So if it's really transparent, and I did a little practice thingy on a piece of paper, and so this is just on paper. So when I used the little eyedropper thing, it soaked in right away, but then I spritzed it with a spray bottle, and I just really like how it just kind of runs and spreads out. So we're going to see what it does on my book. So you want to have your ink, and then I'm using this distress sprayer. I like this one because it can do like droplets or fine mist. And a tip about your spray bottle, whatever kind you use, is to fill it with distilled water instead of tap water if you live in a hard water area, because it won't clog then, ever, you know. So just keep that in mind. So I'm just gonna make sure my papers are all on here, and I'm just gonna I kind of need to get these cracks done, so I'm gonna see what happens. Whoops. good to have a paper towel or something nearby. I want to make sure I'm not getting it on my inside of my book. What I want to do, and actually I should have maybe done it before that, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, is one nice thing to do to kind of soften your paper edges is to add a little bit of gesso. I did that kind of around the bird a little bit to highlight him, but it also helps kind of blend in the hard edges. So I'm going to just put a tiny bit on my gel plate there since I'm using that as a palette. Then I'm going to water it down, and I'm just going to kind of use my finger. It's just kind of a thing when you have added, you know, papers on top and that sort of thing, and they're kind of standing out more than you want. You want everything to kind of blend in and be background. Then that's just a little gesso goes a long way. So just to kind of blend the edges. I'm really liking how that looks. I don't know if you can even see. I just wanted to subtly age around where I still had some kind of white book page showing. So it just kind of aged that up. Now, I use this ink because I wanted to try it and I've never used it before. But if you don't have that, you can use any of your distress sprays. So I have, this is Vintage Photo. So I could actually do the same thing with this, which is probably actually a very similar color when you get it wet. So that just kind of lets you see the difference there. Let's get it off of my, got it on the bird, which I kind of like that actually. Let's see, you can use it as a spray that way, or you can also just use your little dauber. I hadn't gotten any in here, so let's maybe do that. And you can even just kind of leave it as splatters like that if you want to get that kind of splattery, grungy look. I think I want to spray that one though. Or you can also do splatters with just a little brush too. So you can put this onto your whatever, and then do that. And you can do it with white, like if I wanted to bring some white in there now, maybe I don't want it all so dark. I kind of like things dark, but you can splatter with anything, with white Posca pens or something like that too, or just white gesso thinned down. You can do some of that. but I don't want that on my book, I don't think, for this one. So let's see, I need to let that dry. Okay, one thing you can use too is distressed mica sprays. If you want to give it kind of an antique-y look with a little bit of very subtle shimmer to it, I kind of like that. This one has a little bit of, you know, kind of stuff like that anyway from the sparkle I put in here, but it's just kind of a nice way to tone down if you want to tone down bright colors even more. So I'll show you what it looks like. You have to shake it up because it's a metallic thing, but and it goes on, let's see if you'll be able to see this. It goes on kind of splattery. Do you kind of see that? So it's kind of, you know, just like a little droplet spray. So I kind of like that. And if you've put it where you don't like, that's a little much on my clock face, that sort of thing. You know, I've got a lot of stuff going on here, so I may not have wanted so much. I'll get it off my bird a little bit, maybe off of kind of my focal pointy things. But I wanted to show it to you just so you can kind of see what things will do to your project. So I'm getting pretty grungy there and dark, but I'm okay with that. I kind of like it. So if I wanted to highlight something and get it lighter and brighter again, like making my clocks stand out or something, I could use the gesso around it again and it'll kind of make it highlight. My bird still kind of stands out. You can kind of see that. But I'm going to do some shading and highlighting and things now, I think, on these flowers a little bit. So it'll kind of make them look a little bit more like a focal point too. So, and I can maybe do some on here. I'm not really great at it. Again, this is where I start to feel a little intimidated, but I'm going to use two things. I'm going to use a white charcoal pencil for kind of highlighting, and then I'm going to use this Stabilo All pencil. You can use a dark charcoal pencil too. This one's just kind of nice because it'll write on surfaces that maybe the charcoal doesn't want to come off on as well. And then I'm going to use my this water pen to blend it. If you were working on a flat surface, you could just use like a blending stub or something, stump. But this is so textural and uneven right now that it's not going to maybe blend as well. The water pen will do better. So I need to dry this again. Okay, it's dry now, and I just remembered before I get too far along, I want to put another little sentiment on here. So I've chosen from my Tim Holtz Tiny Text stamps. I just love these. I'll put a link to these. I've picked, chose Use Your Wings. And I want to put it on something else and then stick it on here. So I think I'm going to stamp it onto tissue or something. Let's see what I have. Since it's small, I just grabbed this little piece of the currency that I had, and I think I'm just gonna stamp it onto that and tear it out. So let's see, I need archival ink. I'll use black. Oops, and I made my own mistake. So I point this out every time and I'm still not good at it. If you get ink on the corners, you need to clean them off, and I didn't do it. And so then it ended up transferring, but I'm just gonna tear that part off. So this is how inexperienced I am. I can never remember to check those. So I'm just gonna hopefully tear it. I like using tissue paper because then it's just going to look like it's kind of floating, like I stamped it right onto the page. So I'll get rid of that. And that'll go. Okay, I like that. And then still can go there. Okay. So now I want to do a little bit of the detailing. So I'm going to see how this works. Textured. So I'm just going to put a little bit on it, and you can see it's not going to look very pretty. But when I use the water pen, then it'll blend all that in. And I think I need to clean this because I think I was doing black last. And that's just going to kind of give me a little, just a subtle highlight so it's not so one-dimensional looking. I think I want the black. So this is just a little pastel. These are just cheap ones from Michael's, but it's just a quick way to get the edge darkened up. And then I'm going to seal this at the end anyway, so you definitely have to do that. I had to go wash my hands because they're so filthy. So the last little thing then that I want to do is I think I want to just put on my little embellishments that I'm going to glue on. I won't put my clock face here yet because I'm just not sure about how I want to do it. It's going to be a closure. I need to do the inside of my book, you know, make a hole and put an eyelet and all that kind of stuff. So that'll come at the end, but I've left a space for it. So I want to lay it out because I want to add some gears. So I need to kind of figure out where I want them to go. And I've picked out a few. I kind of want them to be darker than this. So I think I'm going to see what happens if I spritz them a little bit with my distress spray. And I don't want to waste that. But I need these to be dry before I put them on, I think. Okay, so I'm going to age this, if that's even the one I end up using. I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm going to do there, but I'm leaving the space for it just in case. And I am going to use Smart Glitter Glue and put these gears on. Okay, and that is our finished book cover. So it's got lots going on. It's very dark and moody, I know, which may not be your style, but you know, everybody's got to find their own style. And I really like how it turned out. You know, it looks so different, and you have to remember when you're doing it that you're only going to maybe see the front at a time, you know, and then the back at a time, but you're working on it open like this. So just always kind of keep in mind that each cover is an individual thing itself too, and the spine. So I'm really happy how that turned out. I was very intimidated to try to do this on camera because I am such a new baby at learning mixed media. So for all you professionals out there, I hope that I did you justice, you know, at least with my attempt, my novice attempt. So that's my cover. Now you want to make sure you spray this to seal it. I have some Degas, I think. I forget the brand. I forget what it is. I got it off of Sean Petit, one of her recommendations. You want to spray whenever you use soft pastels especially, but anything that, you know, might get damaged later on or come off. So you want to definitely spray it. I have taken the Degas, the spritz one, to my other studio. So I need to buy something more here, but I know she's used things like Krylon. You want to use maybe a matte finish, but just some kind of a sealer. So I happen to have this clear acrylic sealer, so I'm hoping, and it's in a matte. So I've had it forever. I'm going to take it outside and do that. Just give it a couple of coats so that it's permanent. And I think that is it. So thank you for watching. I hope if you enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions or leave me comments, that's great too. So I really enjoyed doing this. I think I may, from now on, kind of as I do some other ones, go ahead and, you know, maybe record those, and even if there's just little bits and pieces that are useful to somebody, that would be good. So I've got to do now the inside covers of this, and maybe I'll do a next video for what I decide to do here, and then finish out this book. And maybe I'll go record the whole thing. I don't know. I haven't been doing that, but maybe I need to just jump in and start. So thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Now go make something. Bye.